Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Charlie Pankey, Sierra Magazine again, Sierra Now podcast. Thank you for joining us wherever you're at today. Hope Sierra's in your sights and you had a great 4th of July weekend here in the Sierra. Or if you're heading out coming up for camp season, we hope the Sierra's in your future. We are super excited today to bring our guest, Seth. I said that wrong, Seth Diemel from the Aspen Pack Station. We're going to be talking about some pack riding, backpacking, fishing, backcountry, and the immigrant wilderness, really. So, but before we get started, Seth, let me thank my sponsors for the podcast. I want to reach out to Visit Carson Valley, our home base for getting out and exploring the Sierra. We love the Carson Valley, all the lifestyle it provides for us. We got all kinds of trails here, horseback riding, pine nuts. We got off-roading. It's just a great place to live and base camp, where we want to go, including getting over to where Seth is at, just at Pinecrest Lake about a month ago. So in your neck of woods, Seth, but we're glad to have you here. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Charlie. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Seth, I reached out to you guys on social media because you guys were promoting a backpackers program where you kind of took the backpackers gear into the wilderness. And they got to either hike or ride the horses with you, which caught my attention because my wife and I have rode some horses into the wilderness in Hoover Wilderness. And I go, oh, man, immigrant, that would be awesome to do. But I thought maybe we start, just let you introduce yourself, talk about the pack station, and then maybe a little bit of history, and then we kind of get introduced to some of the things you guys offer.
Yeah, awesome, Charlie. So the pack station, it's been here since basically 1929. It's moved locations as the roads have moved up the hill, obviously, but it started all the way back down like Strawberry Pinecrest area, and then as they built roads farther up the hill for logging or whatever, the pack station moved up the road also. So now we're located on Crabtree Road. We're about 15 minutes up the hill from Pinecrest Lake, which is the resort, and then we're situated right behind Dodge Ridge Ski Resort, which a lot of folks know too. And basically what we do here is we run everything from little day rides, hour ride, 2-hour half day stuff to overnight trips and pack trips all through the immigrant wilderness. And we do it 7 days a week all summer. So I try to open from Memorial Day and then run until first, second week of October, kind of dependent on how busy we stay in the fall. So that's gist of
fantastic.
What we're running. And
you go until the snow covers the trail, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. We get here as soon as the snow melts and then run until the snow kind of runs us out of here.
Now, Seth, you had told me beforehand you've been doing this for about 17, 18 years. You look like a pretty young guy, so you must have been riding as a guide, like as a teenager, or what?
Yeah, I guess I can tell you some of my backstory too. And so when I was in 8th grade, I went to work in the mountains, and I grew up working for the Blooms. So I started working for Josh Bloom as a kid, and I stayed on full time, and I never left. So from the age of 13, 14 there in 8th grade was my first summer. And I've been here ever since. And then in 16, I think 2016 is when me and a partner took it over and my wife. And I've never left. So I'm closing in on 20 years. It's getting exciting and I love it.
That's fantastic.
This is home for me. So.
I just got done reading a book on the pack history of the Sierra. And I know Aspen is talked about that. It strikes me that you kind of started like Muir did. Muir started as a guide for mules and stuff, crossing the Sierra, doing trade routes and stuff with the cattle and sheep, right? I mean, he started young and just stayed in the mountains like you are. That's got to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. It gets addicting, and once in your blood, you can't really leave. So, we love it.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna come back to your program for a minute. I want to ask you about some of your experience that you've been in the Sierra so much. I mean, the immigrant wilderness is pretty much the only place you've ever packed, or have you worked in other parts of the Sierra?
Yeah, so I haven't ever left this pack station, so that's kind of probably unique. Okay. A lot of guys, right, especially when they're younger, they're going to bounce around. They're going to go to different outfits and see different places, right? Well, yeah, I've never left, and so we have a permit just for the immigrants. So we can do day ride stuff and trips on the Stanislaus National Forest and then the immigrant wilderness. So my entire life has been just the immigrant. So kind of like the back of my hand out there, but mostly even that, it's even smaller. Like we really only access the southern immigrant because we have 2 pack stations on the immigrant wilderness. So we kind of split it to where we run the kind of the southern half, and then Kennedy's the pack station up the highway from us. They do everything
Yep.
on the northern half, but there's plenty of places. I mean, as far as places we go, I mean, there's regularly we access probably 20 to 30 lakes,
I
and
saw
out of
your
two
list
different
online.
trailheads.
Yeah, I saw that list on your website. It's impressive the number of lakes that you guys actually offer. An individual to craft their own adventure, if you will. Whether it
Right?
be
Yeah,
Bucks Lake or Deer Lake or Chewing Gum Lake, all those different lakes in the Immigrant are pretty awesome. So
correct. Yeah, there's tons of options, and that's what makes this place pretty cool. There's a lot of places. You might only ride out of one trail, and that's kind of all they got. And we got a lot of options and a lot of different places to go. So it definitely makes this area really special.
fantastic. So if you've been doing it for so long, do you have a favorite lake that you like to pack into yourself?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool country, right?
Yeah.
But the more southern immigrants, probably some of my favorite area to explore and be in. So
Mm-hmm.
you got like Pingree Lake, Big Lake, Hyatt Lake, Rosasco. That area, it's kind of all solid granite country. You're not going to have
Yep.
a lot of big meadows or anything like that, and it's pretty awesome to just be able to ride through there, take people in there, and it's like nothing you ever seen. Like it's almost Yosemite, but it's way better because it's just solid granite. And
Right.
most people never get to experience that much rock in one place with big, huge lakes in the middle of them.
Yeah, that's something I know. Immigrant's been on my list to go down and explore more because I haven't been able to get in and do that. And that's what people talk about is the granite in Immigrant being such a unique playground, really, just constant granite. How do the horses handle that? I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
you, you
crazy, right?
you don't think
So
about horses and granite all the time, right?
yeah, so a lot of it comes down to, I mean, we raise all our own horses for the most part. I do buy some,
Okay.
but I try to raise everything. And so, I mean, they're born and raised here. They do it their whole life. And a lot of it comes down to how you shoe them and just the temperament of the horses too, right? So it's
Yeah.
really interesting, like walking on the granite for them, not as difficult as a guy would think once they get used to it. So
Okay.
once they're rolling, they're good. And the big thing we do is how we shoe them is the most important thing because we shoe them with metal shoes, right? So you'd think
Right.
that'd even be more slippery, but it's not.
Right.
It's
Okay.
a soft metal shoe is actually grippier on the granite than a horse with no shoe on.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's really interesting, and you'll see
Yeah.
a lot of trails, especially in the Emigrant Wilderness, that horses have been going through forever.
Yep.
The trail, you wouldn't be able to see a trail on solid rock, right? But
Right.
you can here because the horse traffic goes through there, and
Right.
it rusts the granite red. So the
Gotcha.
trail is red everywhere through the granite because the horses have walked on it for so long, and they
Very
wear
good.
their iron shoes down.
That makes it nice. That makes it nice for hikers who are getting back there
Yeah,
going, "Hey, there's the trail."
right.
Well,
It's pretty
how
pretty
about
interesting.
how about riders? And is it harder to ride a horse on granite? If
No,
they get they,
I
okay,
would say the crazy thing is from my day ride stuff to my pack trip stuff, I would say 75% of my customers have never rode a horse before.
oh wow,
And if
okay,
they have rode a horse, it's because they ride a horse on their pack trip every year, right?
yeah,
So
okay,
most of the people we take have very little experience, and it all comes down to just having good, solid horses, right? Like if
yep.
you have good horses, they're going to take care of anything, and hey, they're just going to get you there.
That's great. Now, I just a little bit of history. I know on the pack industry now, right? So you guys used to always take people in for like back in the Sierra day. You took families in for the summer and their stoves and their tents, and they stayed there for weeks on end, right? To get away from the heat.
Right.
Nowadays, you have more of the fishing crowd and the backpacking crowd that wants to get out and get away from people. Correct?
Correct.
Is that okay?
Yeah. So our biggest thing actually is going to be like family pack trips, right? So it's going to be
Yep.
like from basically now, 4th of July weekend until
Mm-hmm.
August 15th when kids go back to school. We're going to be taking families in and they're going to go in for like 5 days. And they're going to bring
Wow.
all their gear. They're going to base camp. We're going to drop them off. And at the end of the week, we're just going to come back, pick them up. So they're basically just using us like a taxi. And we're just getting you there, getting
That
you home. And then the fishing is probably the next biggest. All our fishermen
okay.
go in. And then last for the fall is our hunting parties.
Oh, you do the hunting parties also in Immigrant. I
Yeah,
didn't realize
correct.
that as well. So, okay. So, the first one that really fascinates me, think about that, as a reader, if listeners, if I'm talking to you now, I mean, imagine taking your family. That's like a family vacation that you just don't get to experience, right? You get to pack on a horse, bring all your gear, the kids, you go, 13, 14 miles into the wilderness, get dropped
Correct.
off, get a hike around, play in the woods for a week, and then they come back and pick you up. You're singing my love language there, Seth.
That's it's the best way to camp. I mean, and then too, the nice thing is you go in like the Immigrant here. I mean, it gets use, but it's nothing like Yosemite or any of these other places. So, like a lot of the places we go to, it's pretty common that there won't be very many other people you see, or there might only be one or two other parties camping at
Mhm.
that particular lake. So that makes this place pretty special. I mean, this is like one of the only wildernesses where there's no quotas, there's no bear regulations. You don't have to have bear canisters. Like it's pretty free as far as being able to get back there and go everywhere and do everything. So it makes it a super special place.
You said something very interesting to me. I did not know. I did not know that like bear canisters aren't needed in immigrant wilderness. Is that because the terrain is just not that you know is not as a bit
Oh,
to
it's
say
just
the wrong word.
because there's just no bear problems here. I mean, I've been doing
Okay.
this, like I said, it's been 17 years, and I mean, I work with guys that have been doing it for 40, and
Yep.
like here, we've never had a bear in any of our camps, and the reason is they're still scared of people here.
Okay.
But
You're right. Okay.
so that's why the regulations never been put on the immigrant. Not that it couldn't,
Right.
obviously things could change, but for now, like, yeah, you don't have any issues, so what's the point?
That's great. I saw on your website you guys actually have menu suggestions of bringing steaks and pork chops and I started to laugh going, you don't backpack with steaks and pork chops, but you made a good point that you guys actually carry their coolers in so they can bring whatever food they like.
Yeah, so I mean, we can carry a 48 quart, 45 quart Yeti or Coleman, and
Yeah.
yeah, you can put each pack mule carries 150 pounds worth of gear, right?
That's
So
crazy.
if you have a family of four and they take four pack mules worth of stuff in, they could have a nice kitchen and a pretty nice setup. And I mean, yeah, you're eating steak and having ice with your drinks, and yeah, you can make it pretty fancy. So, and I have people that go from, hey, they're just backpackers, we're just jumping them in, and then they can
Yep.
hike around and they get a 13-mile head start, right?
Yep.
To people that have big base camps and they're doing, they're cooking steaks every night and they got big tents and the whole nine. So,
That's crazy. That base camp is something that sounds so old school, right? That sounds
right.
that was my grandfather's generation. Now we're all I'm a bit backpacker, so to me it's like you just take your camp stove and go spot
Yeah.
to spot. But that sounds so
So,
so unique.
so what we still do, like, I mean, we still do these big base camps. Like, I'll send I have my all inclusive trips where in middle of July here, July 20th or so,
Hmm.
my all inclusive camp's going to go in the Bucks, and I'll just run parties out in and out of there. So those guys will be back there for like a month with like 5 different groups, and a group will come into the camp, hang out. It's fully set up, big base camp style, and we'll cook for them, do the whole shebang, and then next week another group of folks comes in, and then and
Wow.
so on through the summer. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I mean, I have guys that, like, as far as guys that work for me, or like when I was a kid,
Yeah.
there's times that you might be in your bedroll for 3 weeks back there, living in the same camp, taking care of folks, and
There you
yeah,
go.
it's super fun. That's about as fun as it gets right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like Yosemite high camp in a whole different level with
Correct.
less crowd, right? It's like
Yeah, it's the same
that's
thing. Yeah, only it's just your family, and there's not a whole bunch of people out there, and yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just your family and my cooks and my cowboys. So
sounds beautiful. Sounds beautiful. Over 20 years, you've got to have some interesting stories in the wilderness, and not to scare people away, but anything funny or fun that you can just think of going, man, there was this time that we, you know, I don't know, whatever, in the wilderness, you can't think of a story like that people might grab a hold of.
oh man, it's fun. I would say probably the most fun stuff we do. Like,
Mhm.
that most of the time when you're doing my job, all you do is you just ride a horse all day, right? Like most of my
Okay.
guys are putting like 8, 10 hours horseback every day because they're just taking folks in, bringing folks home. But like I was telling you, like those all inclusive trips or those keeps Packer style trips where the Packer stays, or
Mm-hmm.
those are the funnest, right? Because you're gonna get to stay with guys, take them fishing, you're cooking for them, whatever, and you're out there for a week, maybe 10 days, however long their trip is.
Yeah.
But we do a whole bunch of cool stuff, man. I Probably the funnest trips I've ever done have been like extended fishing trips with groups, and a lot of them come every year, right? So these
Mm-hmm.
guys come every year. I mean, they become part of the family. You're going every day, 5, 7 days, spending a week with them and taking them fishing. So like the best group of guys I've ever taken, they come every year, like friends of mine now. We talk all the time. And we cruise around the backcountry, and every day we saddle the horses. We go to a different lake, and we just go fishing.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and it's incredible. So like I've taken them on huge loops, and we've gone all over the Immigrant, and Now I don't really get to take them. The boys that work for me do. But
Yeah. Now you're working a business, right?
yeah, I kind of get stuck here a little bit more than I'd like. But that's probably the most fun stuff we do. And it's just cool because you get to meet people, right? And you get to create those lasting, long relationships with folks.
That's
And
really
then the
cool.
last thing that's really cool that we do, and it's probably the most rewarding part of the job,
Mm-hmm.
is, and it's not wilderness stuff, but it's getting people introduced to it. And it's all my day ride stuff here, man. Like I put like 50 to 100 kids that are between 7 and 12 on horses every day, 5 days
Fun.
a week. And getting kids like up here, they've never even seen a horse before, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the coolest part of the job is you get to put all those little kids on horses. They're just jacked up, happy to be here. Never touched something that big before, right? Now they're on
Right.
top of it. So that's probably some of the coolest stuff that I enjoy about what we do.
That's awesome. Let's walk through those a little bit. Let's look through so everybody kind of understands packages. So take me through like an average day trip. Like somebody shows up, they go on a
Yeah,
half day ride with their family, and the kids are going to ride. What would that
right.
look
So
like?
like the normal day stuff I do here is I do hour rides, 2 hour rides, half days, and all days.
Okay.
And they run every day, 7 days a week. And you just call and make a reservation. And I do walk ups too. And then I always have horses
Oh,
saddled and
looks like
crew
maybe
gear
Seth,
ready to roll.
we're
And
dropping here. You
we
got
just
some
take those
internet.
every day. And where you're going to get it, your own guide, and you're going to go out. I try not to have those groups be really big.
Seth,
Like, oh, you got me?
I'm sorry. I'm going to stop you for a moment. Yeah, we lost you for a moment there, and so we kind of missed that section there. You want to try that again?
Yeah, I'll go back. So
Okay.
as far as those day rides go, you bring your family up, and we get everybody on. You have a guide, and everything's kept to the walk. It's pretty relaxed. It's mostly like the day ride stuff's mostly like to go see country, right? So
Yep.
like the half day ride's probably our best ride we do as far as being able to see stuff, and it goes down
Mm-hmm.
into Bell Meadows. It's a big loop, and you get to take a break at Bell Creek and hang out. And
Fun.
there's some really big vistas. I mean, you can see all the way into Yosemite. So that's basically the day ride stuff. I try to keep those groups like not huge as far as per guide, just so it doesn't get too dusty.
Yep.
So if I have two families of 6 coming for a half day ride, I split them up, and that's about how our day rides work.
Great.
So we run those every day, and then you want to move on to pack trips?
Yeah. So let's talk about next. Like a pack trip would look like.
Yeah, and then so the first thing we do, kind of the most normal pack trip we do, is just drop trips with a pickup. So we're just going to take you in, drop you off, come back and pick you up. And
Great.
you're just going to use me as a taxi, or it's like an airplane ticket, right?
Yep.
You're going to say, hey, I have this many people riding, or we're hiking in, and we just need our gear taken in. And we just say, hey, we're going to go to Deer Lake, let's say. We look at the map, say we're going here. You show up about 6 a.m., pack your stuff. We ride in there, drop you off. And then on the pickup day, my boys here, we get up about 3:30 to 4, depending on how far we're going. And then my guys are horseback by 5. And then we try to be getting into your camp at 10 a.m. And then
wow. Okay.
hopefully to get you guys home by 4 o'clock is kind of always our goal, between 4 and 5.
On those type of trips, do you run into backpackers that just want you to drop them off and then they're just going to hike out?
Yeah,
They
so that's
just want the
super
one way
common.
trip.
Yeah, that's super common. Yeah.
Okay.
So I do a ton of those, and like now we're doing like that backpacker special, and
Yeah.
which makes it easier for guys who want to do exactly that, which is me just jumping you in, 10 miles, 12 miles,
Mm-hmm.
and just with your backpack. So those guys, what they're going to do is like we do Gem Lake for $75 per 50-pound backpack, or
Okay.
Wood Lake for 125, and your backpack just has to be on the dock by 6:30, and it's going to meet you there. And
Perfect.
you're just going to hike in, and your backpack will be there, and that's it. We don't see you again, which is super nice because, if you can jump in 12 miles like that day one without a heavy backpack on, all you got to do is carry some water and snacks.
Yep.
That gets you pretty deep into the backcountry to make a big loop, or, if you're going through, because like a lot of guys will leave from here and then go all the way through Yosemite, or
Yep.
however you want to do it. So it just
That's what
opens
caught
up.
my attention when I saw your that special. I go, boy, if you could get 10 to 13 miles back in, how much further is it to Yosemite's border? And then could you go to Tuwali Meadows in a 5-day trip?
Yeah, so like
or
if you got
6-day trip
dropped
by that itself?
if you got dropped at Wood Lake.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey guys, this is unfortunate here. We had about another 10 more minutes of this interview here with Seth that got corrupted on download, and we lost all his audio and video on that feed. So this is a little shorter episode this week. We do apologize for that. We did finish that conversation with Seth, and hopefully maybe down the road here I'll be able to catch him back up and get him back on the show. We were talking about some of his packages where backpackers get dropped off, 10, 13 miles back in, and they can hike around to several different lakes, or they can make a loop out of it. I was mentioning, hiking through Tuolumne. So, from that drop-off point, he was talking about, going in 10 miles, getting dropped off, and then hiking Tuolumne, which is going to take you, several days, maybe 4 to 5 days, depending on your hiking ability from that. But that was just a package I was talking about. And then we went on to talk about his some of his favorite things, ice cream and some of the things he packs going to the backcountry and stuff like that. So we're going to miss that on this episode again. We'll try to get Seth and the crew at Aspen Meadows back on again. We do thank you for joining our show this week. Next week's show, just so you know, we have a review of our trip that went to Sequoia and Kings Canyon coming up. It'll just be myself, I think, on that show. Maybe my hiking buddy will come join me too. And then as we move into the next week, we'll be launching our 10th anniversary magazine edition, and we'll do some highlight from that edition here to finish up the month as well. So we do thank you for joining the Sierra Right Now podcast. Hit like and subscribe. Give us some comments down below, even on things like this where it didn't work out the way we'd hoped. We hope that you are enjoying the content of the Sierra and the people that we're introducing you to. We do it all just to hope that you can discover more of the Sierra. So have a great day where you're at. I hope the Sierra's in your future, and we'll talk to you soon.